Hello, everyone, and welcome to our launch. This is Beyond Being Human, and we are launching the Crystal Visionary and talking with some awesome guests today. So let's bring them on board. We have Michael. Hi, Heather.
Hello.
Hi, Joshua. We have Joshua, and we have ShirleySienna.
Hi.
Welcome to you all. So this is a lovely conversation about crystal skulls. And Michael, did you want to lead any conversation at the beginning?
Yeah, well, I just wanted to talk about the genesis of all of this. And also, hi, Joshua. I remember you back in 1987.
Yeah, quite a while.
Yeah, I stayed with you and you introduced me to Kitawa. You remember that?
Yes, I do.
Yep. He got an article in the first issue of the Crystal Visionary, which was in 1985. In the interview we'll play in a minute, I talk about a vision that I had in a personal development workshop, and it was of like being inside a crystal cathedral, and a rainbow came and hit the top of the crystal and all the colors came down in me, a great big space like what I call cathedral. And that was the beginning of my journey into crystals and the Crystal Visionary. And I mean, obviously there's lots more to tell, but that was a very powerful vision. It was really a life-changing event for me. Fast forward a couple of years, I go to America after doing a number of issues of the Crystal Visionary. I met Jose Arguelles and met Joshua and went to a number of different crystal conferences and saw lots and lots of crystals. Like in Arkansas, where you walk down what looks like a used car yard where there's pallets and pallets full of crystals. And I was walking with the owner and he said, oh, that one's $10,000 and that one's $15,000 and this, that, and the other. And just these crystals everywhere, really amazing, huge crystals too. Anyway, I won't hold us up now. I'm really excited to get this going. And of course, with Joshua starting in the early days of Crystal Visionary, it really makes sense that he is presenting the first course on the revival of the Crystal Visionary. And obviously, we're going to be talking about the course and a little bit of detail about your journeys. You can show us some crystals and other people can show their crystals as well. And crystal skulls, if you've got them. I'm just very, very grateful to you, Tanis, for organizing this, and Heather and Joshua, and hello, Vikki. I see you there. And Shirl, let's play that little video before we go any further. It's only a minute or two. So, yes, this is the cover of the Crystal Visionary book. Mid-80s somewhere, write about it in the second article, actually, about the Crystal Visionary and the vision that I had inside a spiritual development thing. Essentially, I found myself leaning much more towards spiritual growth and activities and all of that kind of thing. And this was the first really solid, tangible thing for me, having a vision that was life-changing. And it started the whole Crystal Visionary magazine. We mentioned earlier with Shirley about Jose Arguelles. I went to America in 1987 for the harmonic convergence. And I was in Denver and saw that he was giving a lecture. I was at a conference nearby and I was like, oh, okay, that sounds great. And didn't really know much about it at all. Went up after the lecture that he gave, introduced myself and said, I'm doing the Crystal Visionary, could we have a chat? And he invited me to his house in Boulder the next day, and I spent many hours with him. It was quite an incredible time. And he was getting phone calls from New York Times. Like, oh, sorry, I just have to take this for a minute. It's like, yeah, no worries. Anyway, so I had a number of different crystal experiences with the elementals and working with crystals. And we did a sweat lodge for the harmonic convergence. I came back to Australia and I kept on doing the magazine for a while. Anyway, the magazine had 7 issues, and then I compiled it into a book. And unfortunately, financially, the book kind of sent me bankrupt. I wasn't able to continue at that time, and I got diverted into other sorts of things. And it's been a dream of mine for a long time to get the magazine from the print version onto a website. And I'm slowly but surely working on that now.
Let's bring on the others and start to hear a little bit about them.
Yeah, well, I think hearing from Joshua to begin with would be really good, and he can tell us his impressions, because we haven't even talked recently. I've been working away, doing all this stuff. I wanted to check everything with him. But how do you like the course, Josh?
I have never seen any presentation that I've ever done online done so professionally. I almost can't believe that I actually did the course, because I'm just used to doing it on Zoom with my PowerPoint, and you're going to see that Michael did a great job putting it together, and like I'm talking about things and you see the appropriate pictures and everything. It was a big wow for me. So I want to thank you, Michael, because I know how much time and effort it takes to make things like this. So I hope everybody enjoys the course. I did my best to put a little bit of everything in there for people about the different types of crystal skulls, the history, some of my experiences, some of the key skulls that I saw, some theories about why they're important for the future. I was really proud with the way that it turned out. So I hope everybody will enjoy it. You'll find my email address, and please feel free to reach out if you have questions. There's a free Crystal Skull ebook I have that you should get a hold of. Merely 100 pages. It's typical for an Aries. I can't do anything that's small. I always have to do something, to make sure it has really good information. And also, too, I want to honor my wife in spirit, Katrina, because a lot of what you're going to see in that course is really inspired by her too. I just want to reach out to her, even though I know she's in spirit next to me here on my right shoulder. Still, she was a very great inspiration for me, and where we're moving towards, it's about co-creation. So hopefully a little bit later I'll be able to talk about this new project that I'm working on, which is about co-creation. But anyway, related to the course, Michael did a really great job. And it's a lot of times people don't know their creative capability until they start working with other people and putting all of their talents and skills together, and then magic happens. So I'm very happy. And by the way, this is Portal de Luz, who you've been seeing in some of the pictures that Michael shows of me. There's the actual skull. He's a smoky quartz skull that was carved by a carver named Leandro from Brazil, and he's been with me since 1999. And he's a pretty talkative skull, and Portal de Luz in English is Portal of Light. So I just want to also honor him too, because he keeps me out of trouble.
So Joshua, can you give us just a brief summary of the importance of the crystal skull itself?
For right now, the main purpose of the crystal skulls is to help their guardians to develop their spiritual gifts and to become more aware of who they are from a spiritual perspective. And the reason why this works is because of the frequencies of energies that they hold. And also because I believe that once a crystal skull is activated, it starts to have a living consciousness work through it. So that's why, as I was talking about Portal de Luz, it's like he's my buddy, he's my child almost, if you will, and we have these conversations. So I'm talking with an intelligence. So this is what I believe is the immediate benefit. But the higher benefit is like when we do our world peace meditations on the 13th of every month, where the crystal skull family starts coming together and taking all the frequencies of energies linked to the skulls and how we're working with them and sends it out to our planet and our world to help to uplift the energy into a higher space like 5D, which many people are talking about. So this is ultimately where I see us going, and hopefully the spiritual center I plan to set up here in Florida, Center for the Advancement of Humanity, that we will be working on projects for that specific purpose to bring the Crystal Skull family and the world together and coming up with amazing ideas and ways how we can work with the skulls to provide this peaceful and energetic energies for everyone, healing energies too. And maybe even a lot of times I think when we do our world peace meditation with the crystal skulls, our galactic family, which is a very important part of the work that Michael's doing with Beyond Being Human, they see the light that we're emanating and they acknowledge that there actually are a soul family here on the earth working to bring this peace to our planet, that we're very dedicated to do that.
Now, I understand there's a bit of controversy around the skulls and where they came from. Would you like to speak to that?
Well, Michael has asked me about one specific crystal skull that there has been some historical controversy about, which is the Mitchell Hedges skull. And I personally, having seen that crystal skull and having had experiences with it, which have forever changed my life, there's no way that I can possibly see how anyone could say that this crystal skull could be false. I think what the major challenge is, and it's not just within the crystal skulls, but it's within any subject that we study that's spiritual or UFO or whatever. Anytime that we have a controversial subject, there's always going to be people that are going to try to tear it down. There's always going to be people that are going to say, oh, this isn't true or this is false or whatever. The real key thing with crystal skulls is, people can listen to us talk about these amazing experiences that we have as guardian, but the key is people also need to have their own direct experience. And there are many people who had contact with the Mitchell Hedges skull that when Anna Mitchell Hedges was alive would write to her about miraculous healing or changes in their life. So because this has been my experience as well, this is the reason why I think it's controversial, because it's a powerful tool and object that could change the world. Of course, there are going to be people who are going to say, it's false. There's nothing to it. It's like what happened with my crystal skull Portal de Luz. I went to this group in Belgium that had a Lequier antenna, which is like a dowsing rod with numbers on it. And their teacher, who was teaching the students there how to use the object, said, this crystal skull that's sitting here, it's a stone. Nothing's going to happen. You're not going to measure any energies from it. And yet when they started measuring frequencies, they measured the 5 human senses coming off Portal de Luz. This is what happens around the crystal skull. They generate these very special, powerful energies. So this is my perspective on it. This is based on my experience with it, and also past life connection too. I remember working with the Mitchell Hedges skull in the temples of Atlantis as well. So for me, any kind of controversy around it just doesn't make any sense. But everybody has to make up their own mind and make their own decision.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you so much. Let's have Heather join. Maybe you guys can talk about, because I believe she played a role in some of this as well for the course. Hi, Heather, welcome. Maybe you can give your view on the crystal skulls and how they bring value and stuff too.
Okay. So first off, I want to say this is all Joshua and Michael. I am just here as a supportive person. Well, crystals in general are very important to me. But skulls, they hold a frequency, they help amplify your work, they help amplify your spiritual work. And I loved how was saying that they bring you an experience, and your experience that's powerful. People can tell you time and time again this and that and how powerful something is, but you have to experience that. And then once you have that experience, I do believe you become a believer. But one of the ways I love to work with skulls is in energy work. So I'm pretty much a solo practitioner. I am a Metatron color healer, and I use skulls in my practice because I like to work in numbers of 3, 6, and 9. So having 2 skulls with me, they're like 2 other beings with me. So that amplifies the work, and then they each bring their particular gift into the healing session. So that's one of the ways that I personally work with skulls. I have always been attracted to them. I absolutely love them. These are the 2 that I use in a lot of my healing sessions. They're both copper bearing. They have strings of copper in them, malachite, azurite. They're very powerful, feminine and masculine energies. So we have a really nice balance here. And like I said, with me in the session, that brings 3 healers here. So that's one of the ways that I work with crystal skulls. And I do find that they're very, very powerful.
Awesome. So you're a healer and you're using the skulls in a healing way. Let's find out from Joshua. So how are you using them in a healing manner as well? I know that you mentioned that they do a lot of the work for the people involved.
This is an interesting process that happened to me personally. So, of course, when I first received Portal de Luz, I would do a lot of meditation with him, take him to sacred places, sacred sites for him to get the frequencies. Because I feel like I have an energetic connection with my personal skulls, I don't necessarily need them per se when I'm, let's say, going through some process where I need to do healing. Now, although I'm saying this is typical of a person like myself who's an Aries that likes to do everything by himself. So even though they may not be around me or I may not be holding them or working with them, because the most powerful meditation I ever do is when I listen to certain pieces of music while I'm holding a skull, I still can link into them energetically as well. And what I've also seen too with other people, there was this medical doctor that I worked with when I lived in Holland, which was like around 2005 or 6, but he was also a magnetic healer. And he said, like, the crystal skulls is your medicine chest. It's like when you have a problem or something like that, you can go to your crystal skull and you can start working with it energetically, or you can sleep with it, or you can meditate with music, or etc. And it gives you the possibility of receiving uplifting and healing energy. Because if it's a crystal skull that you have, I believe the crystal skulls pick us. And so those skulls are coming to us to help to enhance us to be healthier, wiser, and more spiritual. But everybody has their own unique way to work with a crystal skull. What may be a technique that I use may not work for someone else, and they may have a totally different technique that they use. Like maybe they have a special place they have to go outside, or maybe they need to do something with moonlight or candles or incense. So there's many different other tools that can be used in addition with the crystal skull to help to enact a healing for an individual. So it's kind of, everybody tries their own technique and own method. And, for me, it's just, it's more of not so much working with my personal skulls now, but what are all the new ones I can meet? Like there was a gentleman that came here to Orlando from Atlanta who was gifted 2 beautiful large, one smoky quartz and one large quartz skull that had totally different energies that I'd never experienced before. So that was what was uplifting for me, was to have the opportunity to sit with them and work with them. Crystal skulls that I'd never seen before. And I'm still working on trying to understand where did these ones come from, because they have a very powerful energy with them.
Beautiful. Let's hear from a couple of other people that use crystals as well in their practice, and I believe they have crystal skulls too. So let's see what they have to say. Hello, ShirleySienna. How are you?
I'm
Welcome
well.
to the show. I'm just wondering how you use crystal skulls. I see you have one there in the background.
I have quite a few, yeah.
Quite a few. So would you like to share how you use those? And
Well, do I use the skulls or do they use me? I think in my experience, and I've been, using them, I've been using them for many, many years now. But it's an exchange of energy because the skulls guide me. They guide me into what they want to do, why they're here. They find us and we follow their lead. Of course, a skull, this is St. Francis. Many people around the planet know him, but we're their legs. So we get them around where they need to go because they do love to travel the world. They love getting out with people. They've always told me that, they're carved in our likeness so that we have that resonance and recognition, and they bring out the light in us to enable us to move forward, to soul growth, to assist others. I do use them in healings and gatherings and events to put out the beautiful energy. They release energy because they have all the information that we're all searching for and yearning for and have forgotten in this earthly life memory. Our memory banks, we were born and our memory banks closed down. So they're helping us open up and remember from our cellular memory who we are. And when we work with the skulls, rather than when we work with each other, they bring out, I feel, the best in us and what's so deeply ingrained. And they release, this is honeybee, they release from their own beautiful crystal cellular being and the diva that works within the crystal, and they have their own guiding energy, I feel, etherical guide energy. They release from themselves what needs to go out to individuals, people, and the world. So the healing, if I have a client, I will do a skull grid with them sometimes and things like that. And that helps them to open up and release and to heal and to remember. And they have some magical experiences in their meditations and things like that. So I think on every level, literally from the ground or below the ground, way up, the skulls just are here to bring our remembrance, our unity, love, energy, and they're great company. I talk to mine and they do talk back. And like Joshua said, we have people that doubt or can scoff, but I've had so many people come back and go, I was dreaming about them last night, or, oh my God, this happened. I think I need a skull. I've seen many, many converts. And when anything's too big for our little human minds to touch upon and accept, because we should be skeptical, happily and balanced in our skepticism so that we can have evidence and proof of things. They give it. I think they give it to who needs, and who isn't ready. Maybe they'll be ready later on. It doesn't matter. But as a caretaker, I've had that many bizarre and amazing experiences physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually that they've got me. So I just go along with them now and have for quite some time. And they bring us all together. Like Vikki and I have travelled together 10 odd years ago to a conference in Mount Shasta in the US. I know Joshua. It's brought us together around the globe for people that you would never normally meet in your everyday life. We find soul family that's spread everywhere. So they are unifying bringers of love, light, energy, and remembering.
here's a comment for you.
Oh, yes, Eileen, one of my friends here that sits in my classes, the lovely
Yeah.
fluorite skull you gifted me, Shirley, has enhanced my meditations with some clear visions. Yeah, he has a little universe in his head. He's amazing, yeah. And he said, I'm going to live with Eileen because the skulls do that sometimes. They just leave you. They don't worry how much they may have cost you. They go around and they come to you for a while, and that's in order to go to someone else and to someone else. And so they use us.
They do. They do
I think-
indeed. So let's hear from somebody else that's joined us. Freya.
Hi.
Hello, Freya. How are you?
Hi. How are you? I'm well, and
Welcome.
you?
Hello.
Thank
Another
you.
soft sister.
So
So
nice
let's
to see
let's
you.
let's hear about your experience with crystals. Do you use them in your practice? And do you have any crystal skulls? Or are you using those for your practice as well?
I work holistically, so I have enormous amount of tools in my toolkit to work with a whole human. And one of the tools is the skulls. I do teach crystal dreaming, which is a shamanic crystalline practice, journey practice. So there's no skulls in that, but I do work with all sorts of crystals for many things. But the skulls came and they just sort of started to appear one day in my life. And I realized that once it appeared, it was communicating with me. It was not something I've ever studied or anything like that. They just started coming. And their primary work with me, I would say, is earth healing and activation. So I'm lucky my partner and I, Christian and I, are the custodians of 28 skulls currently, 2 of which are double skulls. So one has double face. I've got a bunch here with me that all wanted to be here today. So I've got 11 with me now. And then they have travelled around the world. This little guy here is a beautiful obsidian. And he's been all along the Michael line. From France all the way up through UK sites and doing all sorts of work there. He's been in crop circles, etc., etc. That guy holds a lot of energy and works with the interdimensional beings as well. So primarily, I would say my partner and I communicate with Arcturian, Pleiadian, and Syrian beings, as well as Lyrian and, Council of Light, that kind of thing. So they're the ones who work with the crystal skulls and the conclave and who then advise us who's coming, where we're going, and what we're doing. So they like to get out and travel around the world. I'm sure with everybody else, they come in all sorts of different ways and have all sorts of different gifts. So this little guy is tiny. We can see him. It's actually a sugilite skull, so he has mastery in inner child work. So he's very good at that. Jakar here, who is a jade skull, and he loves to be involved with dream work. Yeah, here's another little fellow. Oh, not so little. Here we go. And this fellow, which is a double-faced one, is one that I work with conscious passing. One of the other aspects of the things that I do is help people to have journeys either into the world or, so conscious birth or conscious passing, so a rebirth. And this particular beauty came to Christian and I to help with that work, being a holder of the violet ray, also an celestial. So it's a Brazilian celestial. I actually show you his head point because it's quite, look at him. So he's very heavy. He's about 10 kilos, 12 kilos, something like that. And then there's the dragon skulls. Then they started coming. And here's one. I can get that. There we go there we go. And this is actually made of eupolite, which newly discovered sodalite type. Sodalite is very connected to new vision in rebirthing ideas and things, as I understand it. When you put a black light on it, it actually shines bright orange and blue. So they've got these hidden wisdoms, all of these different crystalline types, and we can work with them. Sometimes they request even programming. That's a rarity, I find, in terms of what they ask for to help them even expand in their conscious evolution. So I feel very much when I'm working with the skulls that they're evolving as much as we are in the relationship. Then you have the consciousness of the earth. So in my case, they're asking to go to different sites, be in those energies so that they can help to activate something there, but they're also receiving something there. It's an incredible experience and unfolding.
Let's see if you can each bring one skull And I want you to pull up your favorite skull and introduce us. There's our skulls. So Joshua, maybe you can start and just let us know who your skull is.
Well, he's not exactly my favorite, but I already showed it to you, so I figure I would show you a different one. This one is called the Rabbi. It was gifted to me by a person on the northeastern part. I can't remember her name. I wrote about it in the book I wrote about the blue crystal skull. And I had a dream about another blue skull, and my friend felt like she needed to send this. He's called the Rabbi because he has a little cap on the top of his head. So it's just called the Rabbi, but it's lapis lazuli. So I thought I would share with you this other one. So he's pretty special too.
Beautiful. And Heather.
I have tons of favorites, but this is Agni Manatite, if I can hold it straight here. And I use this one for shadow work. He's really great for helping people see their shadows. I love working with him for that. And then also soul retrieval, retrieving shattered bits of self. He's really great for that as well. But I don't know how many skulls I have. He's one of my favorites. If my house was on fire, I would grab first my cats and then this.
Beautiful. And Freya, do you have a favorite?
I don't have a favorite. I just looked at everyone and said, who's coming up? So this is a garden quartz, lodolite. It's another term. And this one is one that I've just taken down with me to Albany at the tip of WA. And we've been continuing some work that started 8 years ago there with the whaling station. Albany was the whaling capital of the world. And since we did the tree ceremonies down there 8 years ago, from the next season, the whales actually returned back in. They swim around the whaling station now. They would completely bypass Albany before that. So, so we've been down there as called by the blue Pleiadian whale, who specifically asked to work with this gentleman, who's a very gentle energy, and I absolutely adore, and a keyhole on the third eye. So I think it's also can be called shaman stone, things like that, but he holds a lot of wisdom.
Thank you. Shirley.
We dare not say favourite.
Dare not say favorite. All right. Which one is calling?
I don't have any favourite. But this is crystals. Been with me since about 2010. His name is Heart of the Christos. He used to be Grandfather Coyote, or Coyote, however you say it. He came to me after a visit to the US and had been on the pyramid of skulls that belonged to Moonhawk, who Joshua will know who I'm talking about, Gary Butler, who passed away. I have some of Gary's skulls here. I have all the 4 directions, and this is Christos, and he's a space holder. I've channeled a fair bit with him over the years, and he loves to change his facial expressions, and he sort of holds the energy, I think, for all my skulls. And I'll just say, as in the background behind, as you can see, who's just poking himself in the camera there, not to be left out. So if you don't mind, this is Old Money Husband song. Timeless Mongolian. He's very cheeky. And I've had him, I don't know, about that long as well. He came from Frankaloo to me, and he came from Hong Kong to Melbourne in 2 days. Don't know how he did it.
Wow.
The box arrived. I was like, that can't be my skull at the post office already. And it was. Frank said, I don't know. I just posted him Thursday. It was booming, and my head was like, phew. And when I got him home and sat out on the grass and took him out, and it was just like this energy. And for weeks after he came, he was giving me massive visions of deities connected, I'd say, back to the Bon religion and the Tibetan and all of that. And he was also, which was really disconcerting, I work as a medium and a psychic and all that, so I'm on that level, but he was taking me into people's minds where I had no business to go, into their thoughts and things that were going on. And I had to tell him to stop because it was just too much. And we can't with this, and that's settled down. But he's projected himself to people across the planet in their dreams and visions and meditations. They would message me and say, "Your skull is floating around in my room."
Beautiful.
That's what he does. He's a bit of a rodeo. They're a honey calcite, and I used to work with him many years ago. Anyone that was pregnant, just given birth, wanting to give birth, trying to fall pregnant, actually seems to be Romeo in many ways because it seems to have worked. So I've got another one of these, and he's got a partner. But he's been very interesting and powerful, and they love to have oil and different things in their eyes, and they go back, as we think, to the Bon religion, yes.
And Vikki, we haven't heard from you yet.
Hi.
Do you
Yeah,
have
it's
a
great to
favorite?
be here. It was quite a surprise that Michael asked me to come on. I'm really delighted to be here. What I wanted to share was, in the early days, Michael was my sort of little Bible with the crystal visionary. That's what started me on crystals back over, 40 years ago. So we've been in touch all these years, and lo and behold, Joshua was my first also introduction to crystal skulls in Australia in 1995 with Yoki Van Deeten. So I feel so blessed actually to be here today. And I have a little skull with me at the moment. What I wanted to share was that in the early days, I had a huge crystal skull called Ebminogen. And I have been working with him in solar consciousness since he transitioned back in 2008 on the 3rd of the 9th in September. I always remember his anniversary. It was on electric mirror in the Mayan calendar. So energetically, because he's working in solar consciousness, and as Shirley was sharing, we become one with the crystal skulls. To me, that was my journey, that I became one with Eb in transition at the end of his transition, because he was washed out to sea in 2008 after I'd completed 13 years of energy work. So this skull here, Scully, Yoki Van Deeten, I was close to at the end of her life. So I ended up going to Holland and giving Yoki an identical skull. And so this little skull could be with Yoki. It's a serpentine skull from England. And the people that I bought this off are skull caretakers in Glastonbury area. And that's where I am at the moment. I'm in England, and I should be here for another 2 months. So as a being of light, starseed, which we all are, wherever I go, I'm anchoring crystal consciousness. So that's what I share from myself through anything I touch, I suppose. So I look at that as star consciousness, and to ground it on Mother Earth. And I'll just say that at the moment. Thank you.
I reconnected with Vikki after a long time several years ago, and we joined Joshua when he visited Australia.
Yeah.
We had a little gathering there. And these are my two little skulls. I'm yet to get some bigger ones, but yeah, they're wobbling all over the place. And yeah, I love them. The course began with Joshua and I doing a recording based on this PowerPoint, and everyone who buys the course, which is available now, and I even tested it, and the payments all go through and everything is good, but make sure you email me as well just to be sure. We started off with this. He's done a great job gathering all these photos. There's more information here in a format that you can just read. And that's, I'm going to be sharing the PDF with people. You'll see how much content there is. And Joshua talks about all of these different things, and it's absolutely fascinating. This is one of Joshua's books, and you'll be getting some of the free ebooks as part of the course. And lots of skulls. Yeah, lots of information. and you can follow along with the PowerPoint when you actually watch the videos too. Just if you want to write extra notes or ask questions, you can email them to Joshua.
It's a lifetime of experiences with all these different skulls and learning about them and having experiences with them, and to be able to honor them in a course like the ET skulls with Yoki Van Dieten. When I had the opportunity to sleep with that, so many memories, so many amazing things that have happened in the 40 years. Yeah, we were able to capture that. And also, too, I talk about some of the books that I have, too, either in an ebook form or a printed form. I think if people paid attention and listened to the other speakers that were here, you could already see the wide variety of experiences that people have and how they work with the crystal skulls in different ways. So I'm trying to be a messenger and kind of like give a overview of it, but there are so many unique stories from people. It could never be covered. It's so much. Like people say, well, how many crystal skulls have you seen, Joshua? And I go, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. In the early days when I first started, there were only a very few crystal skulls that were known. And since that early time now, it's just exploded and expanded. And I mean, if you just counted the number of skulls collectively, the people here that are on the show, it's over 100, I'm sure, easily, because I have like 30 some. I don't know what Shirley has. I don't know what Freya has. So it's got to be over 100. And there was a world peace meditation that we did where there was a group in Canada that had over 1,000 skulls with their members in one place. So it was pretty unbelievable. What I wanted to also say in the beginning, the cover that was shown, it shows about this blue crystal skull, which I have a very strong connection with, that I talk about in the course. And also I have a book called Searching for the Blue Skull in Peru. There isn't really time to get into it, but that was what was behind Katrina and I in the initial picture of the course. And also, too, to remind everyone, on the 13th of every month at the 13th hour, which is 1 p.m., we do a world peace meditation with the crystal skulls. My friends in British Columbia, Harry and Kathy, are running it.
What is your favorite thing about the skulls?
They bring me together with my soul family.
Beautiful.
The most amazing, incredible, unbelievable people. Actually, some of them are here. I don't know Freya. We haven't met yet. But, Shirley, we had a great time when I was in Australia. Heather did a great interview. Vikki, we've had so many experiences at conferences and adventures. It's bringing together a family. My second most favorite thing, since now I have to take over for Katrina, is when somebody finds a crystal skull that I've received from my Indian carvers and they know that it's theirs and I'm able to help to activate it. And then I give it to Katrina and let her boost it up. Then I send it to them and I just hear rants and raves and how happy. Like before we started, I had sent a jade skull that I had to Heather. And, Heather said she really enjoyed that thing. And then my third most favorite thing would be when I do my sessions with the crystal skulls, where either I'm receiving a special insight that forever changes the person's life, or they have an amazing experience during the session. Like I remember there was a young person that was working with Portal de Luz, and this never happened to me, and his third eye popped open. So sometimes people have remarkable experiences, or like when we were able to work with Bill Holman and the Mitchell Hedges skull and brought it to Washington State, was, very amazing for me to listen to the people, what experiences that they had. So it's being a typical Aries, to be a catalyst for a positive change. Or like after Katrina passed, I talked to Soul Family and several people would say, when you guys came to visit, we had the most amazing experience that happened to us that we'll never forget. Those are, it's really the keys of us sharing as the human family. That to me is the most powerful and the most special. And that's what I see in the future too. We're going to be dancing and singing every day in our future. We have peace coming. I know this is going to be true. I see it clearly inside of me. Whatever we can do to inspire each other, to empower each other to be our best, that to me is what is the most remarkable. Areas when I get challenged to, like sometimes I play music and people will give me the subject and I'll just compose the song right there. That's like kind of fun and challenging. These are the kind of things that really inspire me.
Yeah, so now's a good time maybe just to do a brief overview of the Center for the Advancement of Humanity.
Oh, yes, thank you. I forget because I'm doing so many different projects right now. It's crazy. The Center for the Advancement of Humanity, of which Michael is an ambassador for Australia, is a vision that I've had since 2018, where I saw this center and I still see it. It's a building eventually that I'm going to buy here in Florida, where we have all these different departments and we're working on sharing the truth about everything from a spiritual perspective of humanity, the nature of our earth, our relationship with other intelligent beings, spiritual truth and information. So all kinds of different projects and things. The two keys for the Center for the Advancement of Humanity will be a department on the crystal skulls. Like I see us doing tours all over the world, maybe with shamans and all different kinds of crystal skulls, doing ceremonies and meditation and letting people have access to the crystal skull. But the other thing that I've been told, and there's no way I can prove this, is that there are certain galactic races who are intending to provide for our center key knowledge and information that they have held and recorded over hundreds and thousands of years, which they're going to give to humanity, that somehow we're going to be able to help to kind of like bring it down and translate it for people. And then the other thing is I started a new project that I was inspired. I woke up one morning and I heard, you know, you and Katrina started Crystal Skull Explorers. Now it's time to have the expanded Crystal Skull Explorers. So to everyone who's listening to this broadcast, I wish to invite you to the Crystal Skull Explorers community as we attempt with a council. I have a council with 7 other people that are going to be helping me to bring together all over the world the Crystal Skull family, so that we can all do projects and help each other and work together. So this is the number one Crystal Skull project that I have right now. I don't know exactly how we're going to begin. I would imagine we'll have like a panel like we had here to start. But one thing that was brought up by one council member that I think is highly interesting is she's in Israel. And she told me there's nobody in Israel that has crystal skulls there. But she said the key is the Hebrew language. When you speak the Hebrew language, it is a vibrational language. And so she is prepared to do a very special meditation, speaking in Hebrew, while we meditate with our crystal skulls. So I'm very excited about the Crystal Skull Explorers community and where it might go. So if anyone is interested, feel free to contact me via my email, crystalskullexplorers@gmail.com. I'll put you on the list, and as soon as we get started, I'll start letting everybody know which activities we have. So it's even beyond what I did with the class with Michael. So as an Aries, I always have to come up with something new or I get bored. This is my latest baby that I'm excited about, to see where is it going to go and how will it eventually, what will it manifest into and how it will link with the center that I talked to you about as well. Yeah.
And later on, we can add some extra little bits and pieces, updates in the actual course. So people will have an ongoing kind of communication with you and news from skulls around the world. And I recently made friends on Facebook with a guy who does carving of crystals in Brazil. And we might do a session with him too. He's a very interesting kind of guy. I wanted to thank you, Joshua, too, for the effort and time you've put into this. And it's great to have a really solid course now available on Beyond Being Human / The Crystal Visionary. Let's see how it goes. And so this is my Instagram channel for Beyond Being Human Media, is if you're looking for that. But what I wanted to show you is this one. This is the back cover of the last issue of the Crystal Visionary magazine, the last magazine that went out. The words are from Jose Arguelles, and I'll just quickly read it. I'm the crystal before birth. I'm the crystal beyond death. I'm the crystal space-time matrix. In resonance, all is one. Wielding the sword of light, I cross the bridge of glory, and in the dawn that does not cease, I affirm myself as an agent of the crystal earth. Take care, beware, suspend all doubt. Let now all magic flow. What was of crystal born is now by crystals spun. In two great motions that the seeds disperse, the harvest of the future. Who has no fear, yet goes by heart, will seize the moment, and with the sword of light return the clouds of darkness to the ancient fields of night. For those of you who may not know the genesis of Beyond Being Human, that started with an angelic encounter that I had several years ago. This image, clearly an angelic being with a rainbow serpent going up in Kundalini fashion from the earth and spreading light and connecting with the sun, the creator. That's the meaning that I take for it, and probably lots more interpretations. I personally find it very interesting that that was done in 1986, I think, that image. And this is the way things are playing out now. It's fascinating. I wanted to show you through the course really briefly, just so you know what's going on there. And the link, again, is beyondbeinghuman.org/exploring-crystal-skulls. So right at the top of that particular page are some quick links, and I'll just dive through. There are two previews, a 10-minute preview of the first 10 minutes of the course, and there's quite a lot of information in that. But then there's also a longer, I think it's about 30-minute interview excerpt from the 80 minutes that Heather and Joshua had the conversation and more exploration. And I've also created a detailed summary of everything that's included in what Josh was saying, just as bullet points. So you can use it as a reminder. You can use it to ask further questions if you want more details about different things, just making it easier to navigate the information. The whole course is about 3.5 hours, and there's going to be more after this, another hour, including this video. So it's very easy to purchase. You can just click that link there and you'll come to a sign up screen. Please do email me, beyondbeinghuman@gmail.com, and let me know. And obviously I'll be getting the notifications coming through. There is a free resources page, which I've only really just started working on, and that's going to be populated with access to the ebooks and various other things, and maybe even a little bit of a library of crystal skull images and stuff like that.
Are there any questions that you have for each other?
Not a question exactly, but I just want to comment that there seems to be so many different things bringing us all together. Most of us already know each other and have interacted, and it's like interviewing Michael back, who joined their magazine Supernal. You know, we discovered the connection to Jose, which is how I originally knew Vikki, through the law of time and everything. And just in my own experience, I realized that all the information that beautiful man who was in the spirit world has brought to me has connected in with my skulls, which I was already into, has connected me with the people, everybody and everything, that just used everything to bring us together. Just lovely. Everything is there. Everything is linked. There's no separation, really, is there?
And Freya and Heather are part of the Beyond Being Human flight crew. And hopefully Freya's going to be doing some more stuff with us shortly when she sorts herself out. moving wise, that is. She's very well sorted otherwise.
I'm sorry. It's very nice to meet you, Oprah, I'd like to say, now that we're all together. And yeah, I did actually check out your chat with Heather as well. I thought what's an interesting thing, some people have an aversion to crystal skulls. I know my mum does. Like, I love them, and she's like, because I feel like it's touching on people's mortality. What do you reckon about all of that, and how do you help people get around that?
Turn the
Oh, yeah.
skull around. That's what we did with one person in
Mhm.
Boston. Would not work with the crystal skull when the face was forward, so we turned it, and then we did a healing, and then she was fine with it because she had received a special energy.
Mm. Mm.
Or you listen to
Yeah.
spirit, and spirit will give you a suggestion. That's what I always find. Like sometimes
That's a
there'll
good
be a
idea.
person who will have trouble working with the crystal skull because the crystal skulls will bring out something that has to be released, which is very intense, which is a form of healing. And so it's like,
Mm.
oh, what do I do? What do I do? And all of a sudden you get inspiration and inspired, what to say to the person, how to help them to calm them down or whatever. There's
I
help there somewhere, seen or unseen.
I have a little skull sitting in front of me who will not stop talking. So is it okay if I quickly share it?
Mhm.
So this guy, he's actually made out of meteorite. And he carved out of meteorite, and he comes from the same place that these do. I've got a few. They're all meteorite, and they come from a very unusual place. Like all these guys, and these are all connected. I have 12 of these different characters, and this guy came with them, and he's from the same place, which is the Hongshan province in China, just on the border of Russia. But these guys look nothing like anything you would think you would find in Russia or China, right? Look quite Aztec-y or Mayan. Yeah, I just wondered if you have encountered other skulls like that, or that seem to have a species of being that they specifically work with. It seems to be, to me, that there's some sort of a connection with, the human consciousness evolution and these guys from that destination. But you encountered other crystals that have a family of things like that with them?
I think that I've seen other crystal skulls made from things that come from supposedly outer space, materials that come from outer space. But because a lot of the skulls were dealing with the living consciousness, what I would relate it to is I don't have him close by. We have a skull called Tachula, which looks like a Mongolian skull. And when we were at a conference in Bellingham, Washington, a person came up to our booth and said, "Oh, I have one of those." And this skull was like carved in such a way that was so unusual. And even the way it came, it was like talking to Katrina, and she was like going, "What is this skull doing talking to me?" And then when the guy put it in front of her and said, "I think it's supposed to go with you." So I think that there are a family of sacred objects made of similar materials that work together. So it doesn't surprise me what you're describing in your case, that you have all these objects and they're from the same material and they all have an energy to work together. I mean, even the legend of the 13 skulls, the 1 and the 12, there's a group of 13 skulls that they say work together. So I'm not surprised by any aspect of what you say. I've heard it pieces here and there. It sounds good to me. And it sounds like you're happy working with it and it has a powerful energy to help your clients. So
Yeah, well, it was a funny thing, and it's interesting, isn't it? We talk about them coming in all different sorts of ways. Well, these guys I saw and went, oh, I have to work with them, and they come out of a lady's sea container. She had storage for 20 years, and she'd travelled all over China with her dad and whatever. Anyway, she's like, "Oh no, they're not for sale." And so I, of course, sat down and prayed and said, "All right, you know, if if these are meant to be with me, if that's for everyone's divine highest good, then, I would ask that somehow comes to pass. In which case it did. She, after some time, contacted me and said, okay, I'm ready. They're old. They're very, very old. They're not new carvings. They're very old. I feel like they plug me into times on the planet before things were even remotely like they are now. They communicate to how the different star cultures who did reside here used to interact and things like that. It's quite interesting.
So let's bring back Michael and
Okay.
let's see what he has to say.
I am so glad you made it, Freya. That added quite a lot to the overall conversation. And thank you, everyone, for participating today. And we should probably do some regular, maybe 6 monthly catch-ups on how our skulls are going, because they're probably talking to each other now and all of that. I think probably now's a good time to wrap up. Do you think?
My skull's Bonita, and she's here to help us with.
That's fantastic. Yeah. And is that opalite?
It's rose quartz.
Rose quartz, huh?
Mhm. Yeah.
Wow. Cool.
So she works with some of my clients as well.
All right. One last call. Is anyone wanting to say any last words?
I just wanted to say really quick. So in the comments, looks like Fogo Pogo made a comment that I totally agree with. Says, I never thought I'd own a crystal skull, but it just took the right one to speak to me. In this case, a quick little shock. Now I have two. And I feel like even people that are kind of opposed or frightened by skulls eventually will open up to them. The more they're around crystals, the more they're around people that are using skulls, I feel like people open up to it. You just have to find the one that speaks to you. And I do believe there is a skull for everyone.
Beautiful. Thank you. And maybe we'll just get final words from each person before we finish up.
Oh,
Final
back to me again. Can I do a Jewish joke?
It's just final words, Joshua, whatever you feel.
I feel like telling a joke.
Okay.
No, the reason why I want to tell a joke is because I keep seeing a lot of people who are doing their spiritual work and they're very serious. And of course, it is a serious work because we need to create peace, but we have to have joy as well. So this is my best joke. There's a father, a priest, and a rabbi, and they're having a conversation about what part of the money they receive from their congregation they keep and what they give to God. So the father says, well, what I do is I draw a line in the ground, throw all the money up in the air, whatever lands on one side I keep, the other side I give to God. And the priest says, well, I draw a circle and throw it up in the air, and whatever lands inside I keep, outside I give to God. And the rabbi is scratching his beard much longer than what I have. And after he's pondering for a moment, he says, you know what, you guys, you're doing it all wrong. What you should do is take all the money you have, throw it up into the air, and let God take what he wants. So on that note, I hope everybody had a good evening and that they learned some interesting things from all of us tonight, what it means to be a crystal skull guardian.
Beautiful. Freya, anything that you'd like to share?
Thank you so much for inviting me. It's been a joy to be here and to meet you in person, Heather, as well. And lovely to meet you, Joshua. And good to be with everyone again. Yay!
And Shirley, any final words?
Yeah, I just want to say thank you for the invite as well. And it's nice to reconnect with everyone and meet new people. And I hope this just inspires everyone that watches and brings new people to the community of love and light and crystal skulls, really.
Oh, thank you. And Vikki, any final words?
It's just been great to be together and just to hear everyone's experience. And it's really great to see everyone. And I'd like to keep in touch. And
It's 2 a.m. there.
yeah, it's 2:34. I'm in Glastonbury, Somerset. So energetically, I'll probably be up for sunrise in 3 hours.
Awesome.
Fantastic. Yeah. Well, thank you all for coming. Yeah. And I did actually forget to mention one really big thing that Beyond Being Human has a membership campaign going as well. So for $150 US for a one-off payment, you'll get access for life, like lifetime membership. And I'm putting the course, which is worth $25 US, as part of that as well. So it's like, $175 value for $150 and everything else included. And because it's not about the money, it's actually, I really want to start building a solid community. It'll start growing, and I haven't focused on it, primarily because the website is all being done in preparation for when the documentary comes out. But along the way, everyone can have a lot of fun and learn and enrich each other. And yeah, I think the whole thing with Crystal Skulls is a very enriching process. And thank you again.